Hey, hello and welcome to another video. Chandresh Kudwa here. Hope you guys are doing fine. Today I want to talk about how important it is to know your fretboard. So let's check that out. So yeah, I get asked by people a lot as to how they can start utilizing the entire fretboard and how they can, move across different positions on the fretboard without really having to think. So people, when they start learning scales, it's all about shapes. You learn a major scale, you'll remember the major scale shape. You learn a minor scale, you remember a minor scale shape. And we get limited to that particular position. So what's really important to know is that every scale, every chord, every interval exists all across the fretboard on different strings, and they are all one. I mean, if you play a C note on the second string, the same C note can be found on the third, the same C note, the same frequency can be found on the fourth and the fifth and the sixth. So it's really important to understand that if you learn a scale in one particular position, the same scale, more often than not, the same frequencies can be played on different set of strings. So ultimately, you need to remember that you got to know the notes. So there are hundreds of scale shapes that you can make on the guitar, and it's virtually impossible to remember all of them. You may have a few of your favorite shapes, but if you really want to explore the fretboard, you got to be able to play those scales across the entire fretboard in different octaves, on different strings, on different group of strings. So what you need to do is be able to look at the fretboard, look at the strings, look at the frets, and be able to see the note that you want to see without really having to, play the note and figure out, or go from the open position and build it up chromatically and then land at that note. So you got to be able to know what's the 7th fret on the 3rd string, what's the 9th fret on the 4th string, and so on and so forth. So what happens with that is that, let's say you're in the key of A major and you want to be able to play something on the lower register, say let's say on the 4th and 5th string, and then you directly want to jump in the mid position somewhere around the 10th, 12th fret and then really go high up. Now, how will you be able to do this without being able to see the notes that you want to see or play the notes that you want to play? If you are in a position where you have to improvise over that major scale, more often than not, people will start taking a scale shape and running the scale shape up and down, and all it sounds is just mechanical. You need to be able to break out from any position or any scale shape into the next scale shape or next position or anywhere on the fretboard. When I personally play a scale, I'm not really looking at staying in one position, or I'm not trying to play a scale shape in one place. I look at the entire fretboard as one scale. If I want to look at it as a C major scale, it turns into a C major scale. It's like having lights that are invisible that just light up in your head the moment you say that this is the scale that you want to play in. So you know all your sharps, you know all your flats, you know all your natural notes all across the fretboard. You got to know your scale notes, you got to know your chord notes, you got to know your triad notes, you got to know your interval notes. If you know all these notes and then be able to place them on the fretboard and pick them out at will, you will be able to go across the entire fretboard in no time. There's no shortcut. It's not an easy task. It's extremely difficult, but that is the most liberating way to approach playing across the entire fretboard. Once you have command over this, if you want to go through different scales, different modes, you can do that just by changing certain notes that are different. Okay, so for example, let's say you want to go from a C major scale to a G major scale. Now, if you know that the scale notes in C are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and the scale notes in the G major scale are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, you understand and realize that there are 6 notes that are similar. They share the same 6 notes. The only note that changes between a C and a G is the F note. F for C and F sharp for G. So what happens is, you can stay in the same scale shape, or rather the same scale position, and just change that one note, and you land up playing notes of a G major scale. So if you're going to form combination permutations and try and make some melody, you don't have to shift the same scale shape to a different set of frets and a different set of strings and to be able to play in the G major scale. You could be in the same position, just change that one note, and you are in the G major scale. Similarly, if you want to play to a backing track or a set of backing chords, you need to know what the chord tones are of each chord so that you can include them in your playing, in your improvisation when that chord changes, so that they sound more musical than just going across playing some notes from the scale, completely being unaware of what are the chordal tones in your backing behind. So always be aware of what notes you're playing as opposed to what shape you're playing. Try and slowly break out of shapes. Shapes are great to a certain extent for a lot of things, but shapes are not the only thing. That's not the only thing that you need to learn, right? So that's all I wanted to say. Learn your fretboard, try and visualize the notes. You can even try playing a quiz if there's an app or something of that sort. You can blindly point out to a certain fret on a particular string and give yourself like just about say 4 beats or so to come with the right answer, and then check. So there are a whole lot of things that you can do to improve your ability to locate notes on the fretboard. So my final points: know your fretboard, know your notes in the scale, know your chord tones, know your triads, know your intervals, and know all of this on the fretboard. So this will go a long way in helping you go across the entire fretboard and make you feel a lot more in control and liberated at the same time. So I hope you guys liked what you heard. I went on blabbering for a long time. I hope it really helps you. And if it does help you, please give it a thumbs up. Do let me know what you want to hear next. And do subscribe to the channel, and I shall see you soon.